This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Thank you very much, David. Well, as we head closer to Battle Proms gates opening, I'm here with Faye Waters from Combat Stress. Now, Combat Stress have worked with Battle Proms for a number of years here, and it's an ideal fit, really, for a charity connection, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. They've been supporting us since 2004, and it's a highlight in our calendar every year for fundraising, so we really look forward to it, and it's great meeting all of the crowds.
What does Combat Stress do then?
So we're the Veterans Mental Health Charity. We look after ex-servicemen and women. We've got 3 treatment centres throughout the UK, and we also have welfare officers that look after veterans within their own homes. That's sort of the first port of call. So we look after people with mental health disorders, PTSD, anxiety, that kind of thing.
And I guess it's far more common than people actually appreciate, and far more hidden than people probably think as well.
Yeah, there is still a stigma attached to mental health and talking about it, especially in the armed services. But it is something that, stigma-wise, we're beginning to break down. There's still a gap between leaving the services and actually potentially getting in touch with Combat Stress for any help that you might need. But hopefully over the years we'll see that start to shorten.
So tell us about your stall. Obviously there's balloons blowing in the wind today, which is a bit of a challenge, aren't there, really? But
yeah, so we've got lots of lovely goodies on sale, lots of merchandise, jumpers and T-shirts and wristbands so that people can show that they've supported the charity, and we'll be doing a big bucket collection through the crowds later on at about 7 o'clock.
Faye, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
This is Rutland Radio.
Thank you very much, David. I'm backstage at Battle Proms at Burley House with conductor of the New English Concert Orchestra, Douglas Coombs. Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
And I know this is the first of the series of concerts tonight.
Absolutely, the very first one. So we're all meeting together and all rehearsing like mad and hoping the best. And we're going to start off in a moment with the 1812 Overture, with about 14 members of the audience going to join in with the bells. It's always sort of see what happens there for the moment. They can't go really wrong. If I put my hand up, they'll start playing. If I like a policeman, they'll stop, hopefully.
It really is the captain of a ship more than a traditional orchestra director is for you, isn't it? Because you're here to kind of make the mood light, to get everything together.
Yes, I mean, yes, it really is a team. I mean, all working together. It really is a teamwork, and I just happen to be the guy on the podium. So, I can say what I say goes sometimes, in that way. But it is a big team effort. And the orchestra are terrific, they're great.
How big is the orchestra?
60 strong. And we have some youngsters. When I say youngsters, they're out of academy, anything like that. And we have 1 or 2 retired people. When I say retired people, they're retired from principal of like BBC Welsh Orchestra and things like that, but still in their prime. And, it's they're all professionals. We've got about 100 on the books for the New English Concert Orchestra. And at a time we have about 60, because some people are playing elsewhere. I mean, the orchestra will just be playing at Loughborough at 2 operas, Tannhäuser, Wagner, and The Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. So now the Battle Proms.
So do the explosions make you jump when you first hear them?
Not here. 1 or 2 places, like Hatfield, I do get reflections from the trees, and the sound goes on, and sometimes I have felt my heart pounding. I mean, people can't believe this. There are 193 cannons and mortars, 3 miles of cabling, and when it gets going, it's just colossal. And sometimes, luckily the wind is in the right direction from my point of view, but sometimes the wind is blowing into the shell. And there are times I have never been able to see the percussion at the back where it's been so smoky. Good fun.
Rockabellas are on at 6:30. What time's the orchestra?
The orchestra have to be in place by 5 to 8 because the bagpiper and a side drum are playing a piece of music called the Battle of the Somme, which was written by a soldier because this is the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme. And so it's appropriate that the evening salute this year is not the trumpets, but the bagpipe playing this tune, the Battle of the Somme, which I think is terrific, good memory as well.
Douglas Coombs, conductor of the New English Concert Orchestra, thank you for joining us here on Rutland Radio this evening.
A real pleasure. I hope you enjoy it.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm Jonathan Unner, and I'm a humble minion.
And here we are in Pickworth, just on the as village green as you get just here. Is this where you're actually performing?
Yes, it is. This is the focal point of the village, as there's nothing else here. So we are going to perform here. We always get nice turnouts when we go to villages with no pub. Look at the crowd. Hordes of fans and admirers.
I didn't think actually you did go to any of the villages without pubs until tonight.
Every Monday evening when we dance out, we usually go to a village with no pub first. And because there's no pub, people in the village really appreciate seeing us. And we make the effort to go out, and there's nothing else for them to do. Then we go to a village with a pub, because it's very important not to get dehydrated. And very often the people in the pub are too busy going to the pub to actually come and actually watch us. So we do better in villages like this.
And you still practice in Preston Village Hall?
Yes, we do. Every Monday in the winter months, and then we dance out in the summer months, also on Mondays.
And you've had a really busy time, haven't you? I think on Bank Holiday Monday last, you literally did 1 an hour through the middle part of the day.
Yeah, we dance out a lot. I've been doing it for 42 years, since I was quite young. But I'm still hard at it. And it's best to do a lot rather than little, because if you cut it down and don't do too much, it's harder to keep going. So keep going, that's the answer.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. I wonder if you recognise this voice. What can you say to so people recognise you, do you reckon? What do you get asked to say so often?
Well, it's normally da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Or just say no, and I can't sing it. I'm not going to sing it. Da-da-da-da. The times I hear that in a restaurant or something.
This is Zamo from Grange Hill, better known as the actor Lee McDonald. We're talking about life begins at 40, or does it, basically, and how people are in two camps, settled or just kind of trying to find their feet still. So, Lee, how have things been for you over the years? Because obviously you had your massive part when you were, just a teenager?
Grange Hill started in 76 and Tucker and co was in it. I used to run home to watch it, and then getting the chance to be in it, I think I was 11 or 12. Being in Grange Hill was massive. I mean, most people in their 40s would understand what it meant to be in Grange Hill. It was unbelievable. And then did that all through my teenage years. So I was half at comprehensive school and half at Grange Hill, and loved it.
And you've been seen on TV since, everything from Birds of a Feather to The Bill. You've been on A Midsummer Night's Dream as well on the telly. But you also have another career you fall back on these days.
I do, yeah. I bought a locksmith 16, 17 years ago just as something to fall back on to do TV work. But for a long period of time, it overtook my life completely because I needed to pay bills. So I've been doing that. And then I got to my 40s, early 40s, and I thought, right, I need to have a child. I need to get a house. I need to move forward. So 8 years on into my 40s, I've got the 2 kids, the car, the house, the partner. And now, because I feel that I want to get back into doing TV work, I feel that I'm at a place now where I've accomplished all the things that I needed to accomplish and love them, love my partner, love my kids. It's brilliant. But I feel I've got a bit of time and want to push forward with doing more TV stuff, maybe a part in EastEnders or whatever, but mixing that as well as with my family life and my proper job.
Part in EastEnders would suit you down to the ground, I think.
Yeah, I think my agent's on it at the moment. I just finished a film a little while ago called Any Minute Now. So back on the scene, and it's just a case of knocking on doors now and letting people know I'm available for work.
But isn't it the hardest thing when you get responsibilities to actually take that risk with your career?
It is. And having this shop, if I can get somebody to run the shop, then I'm covered for money coming in. But that was my problem of trying to break into TV work again, because just about to get a mortgage, got kids, got to support them. And with acting, you could be out of work for 5-6 months, so you still got to pay the bills. So people don't realise how difficult that is. But now in a better position, then hopefully, let's get back into doing some work again.
Wish you the very best of luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lee McDonald.
Good to chat with you.
Yeah, lovely to chat with you, and very best of luck, Lee. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay,
thank you.
Thanks.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I'm Richard Stephen. I'm lead judge for East Midlands In Bloom.
And here we are in Upham on a beautifully sunny day. Has the weather actually been quite difficult for communities right around the country this year, do you think?
Particularly so. There's been an awful lot of rain and really strong winds, which has played havoc with the horticultural side of the In Bloom element. But I have to say that the places I've been to over the last couple of weeks, the volunteers and all the businesses have really tried very, very hard to get all their stuff looking good. And in the main, it has been very successful, and it's been a pleasure to go around them all.
So how do the towns actually win? What sort of criteria are they judged on?
Well, there's sort of 3 criteria. There's the horticultural element, there's the environmental element, and the community involvement element. So within those 3 criteria, you can pick up a lot of points. So you might be a bit weak in the horticultural content, but you could have loads of volunteers helping out, and so you pick up a lot of good marks through the community helping out, the business are helping out, strong partnerships with the local authorities, the county council, the parish council. So all those areas give you good points. So just because your town or your city or your village isn't particularly beautiful in its own right, you get a lot of marks from the contributions made by all the inhabitants and the residents.
And how many do you, as a judge, have to visit?
Well, this year, I mean, in the town category, there's about 14. Well, this year I'm judging 9 out of that 14, and there's a couple of other judges looking at the remaining 5. But the 9 that we're looking at has been exceptionally good, high standard again, as I'd expect from this category. And Uppingham is up there with the rest. They won it last year, so I was expecting great things this year as well.
Now, a gold isn't automatically awarded.
Nice one.
Oh no, a gold isn't automatically awarded to the top town, is it?
No, as I said, it goes back to those 3 criteria, and it does have to be exceptional. You can win gold actually, but you don't necessarily win the overall category. And the overall category winner has something special within its overall tour. And that's the bit we're always looking forward to seeing, what's been creative or innovative from year to year. So it's not a foregone conclusion that you come to a town or a city or whatever and that's going to win. All sorts of things happen and all sorts of exciting things can be looked forward to when the judges arrive.
And how do you feel for those who've worked so hard? This is the one day that they've got to impress you. You know, it's kind of like a driving examiner's job in a way.
It's probably worse than that. I don't envy them at all. I mean, it's easy for me as a judge to wander around and admire this or criticise that. I couldn't do it, and there's more pressure on those organising it and getting the route correct and getting all the volunteers in the right place at the right time for the judges just to turn up and speak to them and hear what they have to say. So the judging aspect is just a complete pleasure. The organising aspect for those who have to prepare for the one day of judging must be a nightmare, and they have my full admiration for the occasion.
This is Rutland Radio.
It's Pam Dolby, Chair of Upham In Bloom.
Now, how's this year felt for you?
Busy. Yes, thrown in at the deep end a little bit, taking on the chair earlier on in the year. And on the run up to judging, it's been very busy, but enjoyable. The team's amazing that we've got. It's very small and bijou, but we've worked really hard together and got there in the end, I think.
Now, you've continued the World War I theme that you had last time.
We have, yes. So we're carrying that on through the years of the war. So that'll go through to 2018. We've got new poppies in the bed opposite the chip shop, so we're having a willow poppy each to represent each man lost from Uppingham during the war. So each year we'll add, I think we've had 11 added unfortunately this year, but we've got those to decorate the bed.
And it is so much about community support, isn't it? You may have a great committee, but if the town's not behind you, you know, you're not going to win the prize.
No, absolutely. It is all about everybody else. The high street looks amazing. Businesses have come up trumps. We've got much more colour down the high street, obviously with the Crown Inn adding all its floral displays. I think it's galvanised other businesses to add their own, and it just looks so much more colourful this year than it ever has, really. So we've also got help from the WI, the Rotary, Uppingham School, obviously, and our other schools in the town. So yes, it is definitely all about the community, and obviously help from Uppingham Town Council, and huge help from Rutland County Council galvanising the contractors in the end.
Just to get here in time to cut everything.
There were lots of them in the town yesterday, so lastminute.com, but we're very grateful to them.
It's a very difficult year, isn't it? With things are just growing great.
It has, which has been the problem, because they stick to their routines of mowing, and the grass has grown away. So we've had issues with it, but it looks fab today. So with sun shining, and we're really happy with the way the town looks.
As you drive in here, not only is your eye caught on the Easton Road by the World War I planting, but also Uppingham Gold. That's such a pressure, isn't it, for this year? Having won that last year?
Well, we've come first for the last 4 years, so we've had gold for the last 2, so we're ever hopeful, and it just makes us galvanised into making that much more of an effort, which the team have absolutely been doing. As Alec Crombie said, we have literally been on our hands and knees pulling weeds out the high street, so we hope it is reflected in what we get this year.
My name's Rob Fisher. I'm the gardens manager at Upham School.
Now, it does seem as though the school's doing more than ever, actually, as far as floral arrangements integrating with the town. You've always looked after so much of it, haven't you?
Yeah, we always try and keep a running theme going throughout the town, so that our bedding schemes and our floral displays, which are obviously on show to the public because they're planted right the way up through the town, link in with the Upham In Bloom one, so we don't get a clash of colours. We have some sort of continuity between us, and it's a good partnership between us and the Bloom. They do a lot of the work. Yes, we sort of help with the design and supplying of the plants at cost, and we obviously have the space to grow all the wall planters and things on, but they do a lot of the work. It's not entirely done by the school. The volunteers and the committee do a fantastic job around the town, and it's a good partnership. We help out where we can. It's worked very well for a number of years, and both the school and the town benefit from it.
And taking us around the school, actually, the judges were by the new science block this year.
New science block, we thought it's been a great success. We had open gardens this year with the National Gardens scheme, and we had a lot of visitors round, and they thought it was wonderful. Designed by Robert Myers, he's done a great design in there. The colour schemes really work, and we'll be opening up again next year, probably around Easter time. And I urge local people to come and have a look around the school. We're an open school. We like to encourage people to use our sort of main quads as walkthroughs and things to the sports centre. On a lot of our houses and displays and floral attributes are on display to the public as they walk up and down the streets. So hopefully we'll see a lot of people next year.
Has it been a difficult year in terms of keeping everything in check and under control?
Yeah, very difficult. It's not stopped raining, has it? Which makes mowing very difficult. It also, the sort of tropical warm conditions we have, it makes everything grow twice as fast, so your weed growth is phenomenal, your grass growth is phenomenal, hedge growth is phenomenal, and obviously you have to try and keep it all in check and battle the weather, so yes, we get wet a lot. Occupational hazard, Rob.
This is Rutland Radio.
I'm Ron Simpson, I'm Secretary of Uppingham First.
And tell us what you're looking for from people in the town at the moment. This is something new that you're launching today.
Yes, the Town Centre and Business Zones plan is a follow-up to the neighbourhood plan. We're trying to follow a similar sort of process where a task group of various groups in the town have got together, spent 18 months and come up with about 77 propositions for the future of Uppingham. And basically we'd like people's views and ideas, because chances are there's some better ideas out there than we've already put into the draft plan. This plan's very much about the economic future of Uppingham, whereas the neighbourhood plan was more about housing and so on. So schools are in there, the layout of the marketplace is in there. Uppingham's a beautiful place, we don't want to spoil it. So we do need to recognise that, for example, Corby's going to grow massively to the south of us. We're going to have a lot more lorries coming through. We've got a rising accident rate in the marketplace of the town with vehicles and old folk. So one big thread running through the plan is safety. We want to make Uppingham a safer place as well as a stronger place in terms of the economy. So there's lots of ideas in there. There's some choices and options, and I'm sure there'll be more good ideas out. So we're giving, I think it's about 6 weeks up to the end of August, and the plan is the task group will then get together and look at all the comments and ideas that we get back.
And is this open to really anyone who has anything to do with any industry or business in town?
Very much so. So there will be special meetings of the Business Forum and the Neighbourhood Forum. We're going to try and do a number of presentations about it. We'll do on the market traders, anybody who has a business interest or a community interest in it, because it's one of those occasions, a bit like the Neighbourhood Plan, where frankly you can't have too many ideas and comments. There'll be some things that people perhaps don't like so much. There'll be other people who think they've got a better idea. Well, that's what we want. We want all of that feedback. But the whole concept of localism, for example, is that it should be the community that determines its future, not some faceless bureaucrat elsewhere. So we see this as Upham at its best, talking to each other, and then perhaps indicating to the county council what we think is the way forward for the economy and, to some extent, the layout of the town for the future.
And could this be as robust as the neighbourhood plan? I mean, you had incredible success, didn't you, actually, in terms of being able to, almost in a David and Goliath way, be able to defend the interests of the town against property development, for instance?
Indeed. I mean, government is interested in our town plan. We've been asked to send them a copy. But as you say, the interesting thing about the neighbourhood plan is it has statutory status. So one line of thinking is that there are parts of the town plan that might well be absorbed into the neighbourhood plan. That will be a matter for the town council in the first instance. It has a new neighbourhood plan committee. And certainly the housing proposals, starter homes and so on, those sorts of things we think should find their way towards that committee, and they can have a good look at it and see if they agree that that's the right way forward. So it's lots of good ideas, and it needs all of the partners really to play their part. But giving it statutory status is one of the ways forward.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio breakfast time this Thursday morning. I'm Rob Pisani as we look forward to another busy weekend in July. And you know what this Saturday is, don't you? It's Extonbury. It's 11 years old now, would that be right, Mark?
It's been going 11 years. It's actually our 10th festival because we missed a year, but yeah, it's the 10th anniversary festival, so we're going to try and make it a big one.
This is Mark Buttrell, who's organised Extonbury for a number of years now. And £10, all for charity, good causes locally, and you just get live music all day, don't you?
Yeah, we start at 1 o'clock, we got 10 bands, so that's just £1 a band, so how can you get better value than that? All local bands. We've got a great sort of range this year. We've always been well represented on blues and rock and pop, so we've got familiar faces like the Heist, Out of the Blue, the X-Stones and the Lounge. But moving forward a little bit this year with some great new names. We start with Brooke Peveril, who's a Stamford singer-songwriter, just getting going, doing some great things on community work in Stamford as well. She's going to have a high-energy set to get us started. We've got the Zarakan Blues Band. If you think Cream, but with a little bit more danceability, you're going to be there with them. Then we've got the Malingerers. They're a sort of Dust Bowl era American folk band, really gritty stuff, a little bit of an Americanised Mumfords with a bit of an Irish twist. Got an album out and really, really busy, so they've got an afternoon set because they're rushing off to another gig later. A little bit later we've got some American country with Finding Georgia. Fantastic new find for us here with wonderful female vocals. And a little bit of Latin with Los Cajones, a bit of sort of Santana for us, I think, that sort of thing. And we round the night out with Inferno, who are a fantastic funk soul band and did a great closing set for us last year, and everyone will be dancing.
Extonbury is all on the paddock just by the Fox and Hounds there.
That's right. I mean, it's a lovely spot. Last year the pub wasn't actually open, but they did a sort of a pop-up thing for us with a great bar and a sort of a pulled pork experience. They're promising a little bit more of a wide menu this year with great barbecue food, fantastic quality. I think it's going to be the best festival food you'll ever see. But they're going into desserts and ice creams and stuff for the kids.
Who does Extonbury benefit then as far as the funds?
We've always supported a couple of local charities. You know, the Exton Pensions Christmas Fund is dear to our hearts, but we've always also tried to support a principal charity. And while we've done cancer charities and sort of heart and lung circulation charities, our first supported charity was the Air Ambulance, and we've gone back to them this year because we're a rural county. The roads are very narrow and windy, whether you're a driver or whether you're a horse rider. You know, we've all had some sort of experience or will have some sort of experience where the Air Ambulance will touch our lives, and you know what a great opportunity to support them. And this year we should head over the years to well over 30,000 quid support, so we're really looking forward to doing a good one.
So £10 to actually go and see that the whole lineup, as you say, £1 a band. Your raffle's got some pretty amazing prizes.
Well, we try to make it a little bit interesting. I think we always try and say we do everything that the big festivals do, but without the mud. The big one really this year is that a friend of ours who's got a road legal Jaguar D-Type is offering a trip that may be a little bit hair-raising, certainly not for the faint-hearted, around Rutland Water. That'll be an auction, and then there's a whole host of prizes that we've got from supporters in the local community, local businesses, local restaurants, and just friends really, from a guitar, meals, vouchers, wine, you name it. There's a little bit of something for everyone, and that's a great fundraising opportunity, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Now, it all kicks off at lunchtime this Saturday and right the way through the afternoon and into the evening. You've got a website as well as obviously on Facebook and the like.
Yes, we have. So www.extonbury.com. All the information you need is on there. It tells you everything about the running order, the bands, the times everyone's on, and really it's everything that we do. We have been selling tickets in advance, but that'll be closed today. It's just £10 on the gate. Just turn up, park sensibly around the village. Unfortunately, we don't have a car park, but just think about the neighbours a little bit and come and have a great time with us.
That's Extonbury this Saturday. And Mark Buttrell, thanks very much for joining us here on Rutland Radio once again.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for giving us the opportunity. Cheers.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm doing Brave the Shave for Macmillan Cancer Support.
Well done. How much hair is there to come off? Can you describe what it looks like?
Quite a bit.
You got a bit of a mop at the moment.
Yeah.
And how far are you going? Is it all coming off?
Yeah, it's all coming off.
And where are you having this done then?
At my old school.
Excellent. Whereabouts is that?
Nosington.
Well, good luck with it. Have you got a qualified hairdresser doing it, or is someone else using the clippers?
Kind of.
Yes. Okay, Troy. Well, I hope it all goes well. So if people would like to sponsor you, is there any way they can?
You can go on the website and put in Troy Wilkins and it will come up.
Brilliant. Well, very best of luck. Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. So yes, we were mentioning about Wilson's Walk, which starts today, 5 Peak Challenge in aid of the Phoebe Research Fund. I guess you could call him walk leader. Jonathan Sismey joins me. Now, you're speaking to me from base camp, as it were, at the bottom of Ben Nevis, is that right?
Yes, I absolutely am, Rob. It's not as sunny as the weather you've got down south, I don't think. It's quite cloudy and a bit wet today.
Now, tell us about Wilson, teddy bear, I'm guessing.
Yes, he is, yes. He's actually a mascot from the first charity I raised money for in 2014, the Teddies for Love and Care charity. So they gave me that as a memento, so I've carried him along with me since.
And you're raising money for the Phoebe Research Fund based in Stamford to help that terrible skin condition that Phoebe's got, in research into that.
Yes, absolutely. I first heard about that through a friend of mine, and after reading about it and the difficulties that Phoebe has to go through every day, especially as it's quite a rare condition, any money we can raise for them to help fund the research, I thought would be an excellent cause for this year.
So who's in the team with you then?
This year we have Duncan DeSalis, Adam Chapman and my father, Roger Sismey.
And tell us about the 5 Peak Challenge. Ben Nevis to start with. How long will that take? Is that sort of a day-long thing?
Yes, we're setting off fairly early because it will be roughly 8 or 9 hours, but obviously it depends on the conditions. It could be a bit longer.
And what are the other peaks?
There are 3 in Cumbria we'll do after this one, which will be Skiddaw, Helvellyn and Scarfell Pike. And then we'll move on down to Wales for Snowdon.
And Wilson's Walk is on Facebook, really easy to find. And is there another way to donate? Have you got any sort of Just Giving or anything like that?
Yes, we've got a Just Giving link which is pinned to the top of the Facebook page. So if people can get on there, it's ever so easy to follow the page over to the Just Giving link there.
Excellent. Well, very best of luck. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio this morning. Have a good walk.
That's brilliant. Thanks again.
This is Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. Now, talking now about a charity that Rutland's High Sheriff this year is helping to fundraise for, and maybe you have in the past as well. It's Hope Against Cancer, and Bold and Blue Week is happening the first week in September, the first full week. To tell us more, Chief Executive Officer Nigel Rose. Now, tell us, Leicestershire and Rutland's very own cancer charity, isn't it, Hope Against Cancer?
Yes, Rob, good morning. It is, and it was founded some 13 years ago to bring cutting-edge research to the people of Leicestershire and Rutland, in the knowledge, sadly, that cancer survival rates at that that time were among the poorest in Western Europe, and Hope Against Cancer set about changing that, and in those years has managed to raise around £5 million and has funded about 50 projects tackling many forms of cancer. And in 2012 we opened a clinical trials facility at Leicester Royal Infirmary where patients for the first time in the region could take part in trials that can lead to new drugs and treatments coming online. So we've done really well over those years.
And obviously there is a lot of national fundraising and research in that way, but it is reasonably unique, isn't it, what you do?
Yes, indeed. Not every region has a cancer research charity, but what we do know is in regions that have a local presence and make the area research rich and build up expertise in our universities and hospitals, outcomes can be much better for cancer patients locally.
As I mentioned in my introduction, the current High Sheriff of Rutland, Dr. Sarah Finesse, has worked with you for some time. It is one of her 3 charities that she's fundraising for this year as well.
Yes, indeed, and I've been to many of Sarah's events, and jointly with the High Sheriff of Leicestershire is jointly supporting us. And a hue and cry in Oakham High Street comes to mind, which happened a few weeks ago, which was a really jolly day and was very fun to participate in.
It was great fun, yes, racing down the High Street as I did.
Yes, indeed.
Bold and Blue Week then, 3rd to the 9th of September. Basically, you're appealing to businesses, I suppose, to get it in the calendar at this time, really, and to think about what they could do.
Yes, indeed, Robin. We wanted, from the 3rd to the 9th of September, we wanted to keep it simple so companies could just think about what they wanted to do. Very simple concept, get staff to wear something bold and blue and to donate to the charity, in doing so. And last year we had people wearing wigs, we had people dressing up as blue clowns and all kinds of stuff. Somebody even had a Hope blue tattoo tattooed on them at work. So plenty of things to think about, and just a fun day for everyone and a simple way of hopefully raising funds for cancer research.
Now, this is something you're doing across Leicestershire and Rutland, but I know Oakham and Uppingham did a huge amount last year. A lot of the high street shops had blue balloons, say the dress agencies and that kind of thing. The clothing shops had blue dresses and that sort of thing. It's a lot of effort made, wasn't there?
Absolutely. And Oakham and Uppingham in some ways were in competition with a band of volunteers supporting everyone who participated in Bold and Blue. Thank you to them. They made it a really fantastic week, and indeed the whole place was turned blue, and Oakham and Uppingham and the surrounding villages raised a lot of money for us last year. It was fantastic.
So how can people find out more and sign up for this? Because, I know you'd like, and we always like to receive as well, this huge long list of people that are taking part so we can mention them.
OK, Rob, the simplest way is to go to our website, hopeagainstcancer, all one word, .org.uk, and there you can download an information leaflet and a registration form that gives you some ideas and how to register with us. And when you send that back in, we'll then get in contact with the businesses and companies and shops and support them in any way we can to make their Bold and Blue week, or what they choose to do, really successful. So that's the best way to go about getting involved.
And you've got like Hope Against Cancer balloons and all sorts of stuff that they can inflate, haven't you?
Yes, that's right. We've got t-shirts, balloons, wristband, pens, and anything you want to order, you can order it from us by going to the website and on the events page there, and Bold and Blue is there in Bold and Blue.
Is there a charge actually to sign up to actually fundraise for you?
No, it's all free of charge. The fundraising comes from people participating and donating and doing the activities that they want. It's all free to take part.
That's Bold and Blue Week, one to get in the diary, and as Nigel says, any day between the 3rd and the 9th of September. If you work in Oakham, Uppingham, the villages in Rutland, then please do get involved. You could do it every day, you could just do something on the Friday or the Saturday. It's entirely up to you, and there's more details at hopeagainstcancer.org.uk. And Chief Executive Officer Nigel Rose, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio today.
Thank you very much, Rob.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Well, you know the TV show, What's My Line? This is a bit like this now on Rutland Radio, because I have a gentleman with me who does a very interesting job a few miles from here, one that you may well have actually seen, experienced, or possibly travelled in. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi there, yeah. My name's Steve Clark. I'm Oakham resident.
And what do you do by trade?
Well, I take people down the River Cam. I am a tour guide and I punt them down the river from 9 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, every day.
How long have you been doing that then?
Just for a few months.
And how did you get into it then?
I just really drifted. I was a teacher down in Cambridge. I taught English to students from around the world, and part of my duties was taking them around Cambridge. I was always drawn to the river. The colleges along the river are particularly spectacular, and I saw lots of people out there ferrying tourists down the river, and I thought I could do that too.
So do you have to have your own boat? Do you work for a company? How's it work?
Yeah, I work for a company. They call us chauffeurs. There's about 5 or 6 of us at any given time. And in the meantime, when we're not punting, we're touting for business.
Is it quite a difficult thing to do? Is it quite relaxing or quite tiring? I mean, you've got this long pole virtually rather than an oar, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, it certainly takes a little bit of training. You have to build up muscles that you never thought you'd had. But it soon comes, and it becomes natural. It's sort of a multitasking thing, talking about the history of Cambridge, developing your style, your technique, adapting to the people on the boat, whether you've got young children or lots of Chinese visitors. And the punting sort of becomes secondary now. It's sort of part of an extension of your body, really.
So do you speak other languages then?
Yeah, I do. I speak French and German, but I've had to learn a bit of Chinese. There's a special part of Cambridge which has a deep reverence for the Chinese. There's a bridge by King's College where there was a Chinese poet who was there in the 1920s, who loved Cambridge and wrote a poem, famous poem in China, Farewell to Cambridge. So I've learnt that in Mandarin.
Could you give us a burst?
Ooh, let's have a go. It goes, 我深深地握住了，整个我深深地来，我深深地招手，做这样的人才, which roughly translated means, softly I am leaving, just as softly as I came. I softly wave goodbye to the clouds in the western sky.
It's got that same relaxing rhythm as I imagine the punting probably has. And how long can you go on the punts for? How long is it open till?
Well, the stations close at 10.
Mm-hmm.
The last tour is about 9. Gradually through the year, the nights draw in. But we even punt on Christmas Day. We have weddings and proposals that take place on our punts. I've had 2 so far this year.
And do you think ever, because there was a story a couple of years ago that they were looking to get punts on the Welland. Do you think that'll ever happen?
That would be very interesting. The secret, I think, though, of the combination of punting as it applies to Cambridge is the succession of fascinating buildings and stories attached to those buildings that you pass through one after another. If I compare it to Oxford, for example, the punting in Oxford is not quite the same. The Thames is too wide and doesn't really take you near any of the major colleges. So Cambridge has that unique sort of atmosphere of a succession of interesting stories. But I'm willing to bet that there may be some enterprising people think, and the Welland in Stamford could be adapted to that purpose. But it might be more of a country trip out into the fields at one end of the town, and the other end of the river just takes you through a short section of the town centre. So it could be a good idea.
Steve Clark from Oakham, thank you very much for joining us today, talking about your punting on the Cam, and really nice to chat to you this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Well, Bobby, if you could tell me then about the dressing room, a show on stage about behind the scenes, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a play that I wrote. I've called it a play variety because it's a play and a variety show. So the play is set within the dressing room, and then the company introduces them. We'll go on stage separately and do 20 minutes of our act, and we come back into the dressing room and the play carries on. So the audience get the best of both worlds, if you like. Very successful.
And you're seeing lots of names that you will have seen on TV, like yourself. Stu Francis, part of it as well.
I Could Crush Your Grape, yeah.
Exactly,
Stu,
yes.
Johnny Casson, who's a fantastic comedian, and Anne-Marie Slett, who plays the stage manager. We're all friends anyway, out of the business, you know. So it's a real good fun night. I think people will love it.
Now, you've been touring this play for quite some time. In fact, I think you were due to actually bring it to Stamford back in April, weren't you? But you changed the date.
Yeah, we changed the dates because I got some television had to be done, so that's what happened. But yeah, we're looking forward to coming to Stamford.
You're still a busy man, which is good to hear.
Aye, still busy, still keep going.
Tell us where it all started.
Oh,
you know, we know the Cannon and Ball days, and we still see Tommy on TV as well.
Me and Tommy for 54 years we've been together.
Have you really?
Yeah, and we started off as welders, and then we started singing in the pubs at weekend and the clubs, and it just built up and built up. And we did comedy because we saw the comedians got more than singers in the clubs. So we thought, well, we'll try a bit of that, and it worked for us.
And hasn't
so
it
just
worked?
Went on and on and on, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You've still got the red braces, I hope.
Still got the red braces and the hush puppies. Still giving the rock on Tommy.
Fabulous. Well, Bobby Ball, I hope you get lots of support this Sunday at Stamford Corn Exchange. That's the Dressing Room, a comedy play written by Bobby Ball, and at the Corn Exchange this Sunday. Thank you very much for being on Rutland Radio. Have a good day today.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, mate.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time on this Friday morning. I'm Rob Pisani. What are you doing tomorrow afternoon? How about a picnic on Stamford Meadows? This is one that everyone listening to the radio this morning is invited to. Amelia Billington came up with the idea. Why, first of all?
I wanted to organise something that was, just like you say, for everybody, including Rutland Radio listeners. As after the referendum, I noticed and heard on the media that there was a sort of increase in racial tension, not just in our area, but all over the UK. And I've always kind of thought that people who are sort of angry and who've got a particular point to make it very loudly, and people like me who are quite moderate tend to be quite quiet and not say anything. And so I wanted to organise something to say the majority of people in Stamford are very welcoming to everybody from every country and every different nationality and every different religion, and celebrate cultural diversity in our town. And I just wanted to really put a marker in the sand to say, come to a picnic. My daughter's made a lot of cakes and there'll be some beverages, not alcoholic, and just enjoy each other's company and talk and just get to know each other maybe a little bit better.
So on the main meadows, I'm guessing?
Yeah, the town meadows, and it will be at 4 o'clock to however long people want to stay, really. I'm going to have a small marquee and some picnic blankets out, so you should be able to see us. And just the meadows after you cross the bridge. Kind of left or right, I'm not sure. It depends where there's less people.
Yes, I understand. What sort of interest have you had so far?
On my Facebook invite, I've had about 120 or 30 people expressing an interest. So I don't know if that's a negative or positive interest or if they'll come.
I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, the more the merrier, really.
So tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock, Stamford Meadows, basically bring your picnic and talk to someone you've never spoken to before.
Yes, I've written out a few sort of questions, and if people are brave enough, they can go and speak to a complete stranger and ask the questions. So sort of icebreaker, but they don't have to do that if they don't want to.
It's a lovely idea. Do you think it's been done locally before?
I don't know, actually. I've lived in Stamford since 2001, and I haven't been to a public picnic on the meadows, but if it goes down well, we can do it again.
Lovely. Thank you very much for being on Rutland Radio and inviting us all along. We'll see you tomorrow.
Fine. Hope to see you there as well.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.